Japanese animation has had a long history with giant robots, and none of them quite as interesting as Studio Gainax. Among other things, Gainax is famous for creating Neon Genesis Evangelion, a series that deconstructed the mecha genre and pointed out its major flaws. Fast forward 12 years later, and rising out of the dormant ashes of the super robot genre is Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. Right away, people will notice a resemblance to shows like Voltron, Mazinger Z, and Getter Robo, which actually makes Gurren Lagann look less crazy by comparison, especially against Getter Robo Armageddon. The show has a lot of similarity to Western cartoons, in both its visual art style and the actions taking place. It's very over the top, but it is animated. And it makes sense when you realize that, like the mechs themselves, the appearance of the show is merely a vehicle, a means to an end. Gurren Lagann is one massive hyperbole. The show is centered around a young man named Simon, who lives in a post-apocalyptic world with his best friend Kamina and fights for the sake of humanity's future against giant robots piloted by furries. Through the use of their own giant robots, Simon's Lagann and Kamina's Gurren, they both combine into a single entity known as Gurren Lagann. Because the series is viewed from such a male perspective, it seems to reflect how some of the characters are treated, but it doesn't justify it. The majority of female characters, despite being well written, powerful, and capable of many abilities, like Yoko Littner or Nia Teplin, they're also incredibly sexualized. Their actual personalities don't seem to matter because it feels like the show only cares about their appearance. They're objectified so much that during the epilogue, the female lead's face has been cropped off, as if the animators were too afraid to draw wrinkles on their anime waifu. The show's treatment of female characters will most likely play a large role in your decision to watch Gurren Lagann, or not. The other major deciding factor concerns a plot device known as spiral power, which, on the surface, appears to be a cheap Deus Ex Machina resolution for every episode. But personally, I can forgive spiral power, because for one, its inspiration comes from the fact that spiral shapes exist everywhere in real life. In Nautilus shells, in galaxies, in our own DNA, and our fingerprints. Knowing that makes Gurren Lagann a lot more interesting, especially when the spiral becomes part of the human race itself. This energy isn't derived from a machine, it comes from the emotions of the people inside them. The happier and more determined a person is, the more spiral power is created, fueling the robots with the strength they need. The show is a massive hyperbole for being confident, because the characters are able to win once they believe that they can win. And the ones that struggle with doing that receive the most importance. Everything hinges on Simon. Literally everything, even to the point where he becomes the show's saving grace. If you can relate to the character Simon on a deep personal level, then you are going to like Gurren Lagann. I'll admit that there's a lot of bullshit that goes on in this series, even though it's a space dandy kind of bullshit, but that's not going to matter at all. If you can at least enjoy seeing a kid get over his self-esteem issues, and become self-confident in the purest sense of the word. Forget Superman, Simon the Digger is the real example for what humanity should strive towards. Simon is the kind of person I want to be like. He's an artist, a voice of reason, and he's humble enough to know that with all the power he wields, he's only human. You can never become someone exactly, but you can still follow their example and learn from them. The same goes for fiction. It may not be real, but it is possible to bring the positive ideas expressed from it into real life. This is what Gunbuster, Neon Genesis Evangelion, Fooly Cooly, and Die Buster have been building up towards. It's the culmination of nearly everything about Studio Gainax, and what mecha anime should be like. Colorful, intense, and most of all, positive. Yes, Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann is a stupid show, but sometimes it should be taken seriously, because it can help you. The artistic design, the dynamic composition, and the messages present are all purely inspirational. Gurren Lagann tells you to stop comparing yourself to other people, to live in the now instead of what could have been, and to believe in yourself, because you are a human being, and that makes you amazing. We evolve beyond the person we were a minute before. Little by little, we advance a bit further with each turn. That's how a drill works.